Today, we are going to examine the critical principles that most leaders are missing. But these principles are absolutely critical to effective leadership. Real leaders, the ones we remember long after their careers or roles are over, are the people who leave a lasting impact and have true influence. So, if you are ready to gain new insights, get your digital notebook and let's get started. Do you want to fully step into your calling and live out your God-inspired vision, but lack the right people and resources to help you? Hi, I'm Nicole, personal branding strategist, leadership coach, and Christian. I learned the secret to advancing big leadership goals and attracting new opportunities is through intentionally elevating your personal brand. If you're ready to step into greater impact without losing your peace, then grab a protein bar, your iPad, and let's go. I used to think building a strong personal brand meant having all the right pieces in place. I had a professional headshot, a polished website, videos, and a consistent social media presence. Those things absolutely matter when you are establishing a personal brand, but what I learned is that none of them can replace a strong foundation. They just simply can't. At the time, my personal brand looked polished. It was so pretty on the outside, but it lacked substance that needed to build a lasting reputation. To build a strong reputation, you can't skip the beginning if you want leadership with substance and a brand with credibility. You see, I wanted to prove my authority to others, and the quickest way that I knew how to do that was to create a visual identity that was professional, it was pretty, it was polished, but there is no substance or longevity even with pretty packaging. The problem is that most leaders miss these three non-negotiable principles. Principle number one is knowledge. That means you must know the truth of your expertise or skills. There is no room here for exaggeration or creatively twisting the truth to sound credible. There simply isn't a need to inflate who you are. You are who you are. At the other end of the spectrum, there isn't room or time for false humility. No. If you want to name and own your skills, well, name and own your skills. If you have the skills, you have the skills. You just need the plain truth of what you have to offer others. Now, this could be in the form of skills, natural talents, information, or experiences. Basically, you're trying to answer the question, what can someone obtain from you that will better their life? Then you have to have the knowledge about the people who you are called to lead or serve. Just because you possess a skill to help a category of people, that does not mean you are called to lead them. You'll find that you have the capability and skills to serve several audiences, but there is a primary group for you. And once you determine your audience, then you need to know what are their needs, what are their fears, their hopes, and their dreams. What do they read? Where do they go? Who do they listen to for advice or news? In the marketing realm, we're talking about demographics, psychographics, pain points, goals, sources of influence. Now let me break that down for you. So demographics, we're talking about the basics, right? Their age, their income, gender, education, and so on. In psychographics, we're talking about their hobbies or lifestyles, their beliefs, their politics. Then we're talking about their pain points and frustrations, right? This is basically what keeps them up at night. Then there's their goals and desires that you need to have a firm grasp of. And then finally, sources of influence. So what do I mean by that? What media do they consume? What public figures do they listen to? What organizations are they affiliated with? Basically, who are directing their decision making? And so, why is this important? Knowledge is important because you need to know the brutal truth about who you are and what you offer and who you serve. So, to get this type of knowledge about yourself, there are so many assessments out there. There are assessments that are based on skills, personality, and gifts. And I've done so many of them, and I especially love the gifts assessment. And these are spiritual in nature, right? These are spiritual gifts that you have. And so it's very interesting. I've taken, I think, about three of them. Yes, three of them. And they vary in length. They ask different questions, but across them all, I had similar gifts in the top 3 to 5. And so, what you'll find about any of these assessments, whether they're skills based, personality based, or gifts based, they'll either confirm what you already know about you or enlighten you and get you to think beyond the perspective you had about yourself. So they're really interesting and they're very helpful. They can be eye opening if you feel stuck. But also, you can do some journaling about what you're good at, what skills you have acquired over the years, and what personal experiences you've had that can add value to others. And then now you also need to get some knowledge about your audience. For almost every category out there in terms of the type of audience that you want to serve, there is research, there are reports out there. Every market that exists, there is research reported in professional journals, industry associations. You can read news articles. You get it. There's references out there, and you can also ask friends you know who fit that category. One other thing you can do that's pretty practical, you go where your audience is, right? You spend time where your market hangs out at, and you just simply observe. So there are different ways for you to learn and get that knowledge about your target audience. Principle number 2, understanding. This is where you really need to do some soul searching to get a deeper awareness of how you are specifically called to lead, get this, to lead your divinely assigned audience. That's right. So much of your personal brand hinges on your ability to uniquely connect with an audience. That's what a personal brand is all about. If you don't connect with the people that you want to build relationships with, who you want to influence, who you want to join you on your journey, then what is the point? Your messaging, your thought leadership, your brand, it all depends on understanding why you are chosen to connect with others. So this is the foundation of your brand narrative, your why, and then why you, and why them, and why now, and why shouldn't they miss out on what you have to offer them. That's the crux of it. You have to be able to communicate that. So this deeper understanding, I believe it comes through prayer first. You want to be in your purpose. You want to be aligned with your destiny, right? So this deeper understanding comes through prayer, introspective reflection, and getting involved. Don't ignore this part. By engaging with others, you discover your ability to impact others, especially through service and collaboration. Your role and identity becomes clear. So if you're volunteering at an organization, let's just say, and you have to work with others, you are collaborating, learning new skills. You're learning about your ability to influence others, direct others, to inspire others, and you become more confident as you engage with others. So that is a critical aspect of learning about who you are and who you are meant to influence and lead. Principle number 3, wisdom. Wisdom is how you apply the knowledge and understanding that you've gained. And this is important because not all branding tactics are equal. You need to know the right strategies to employ that will give your leadership some real momentum. For example, you don't want to move forward with a video when you aren't sure of your message and who you want to reach. You don't want to conduct a photo shoot if you aren't sure how your visual identity will reinforce your message. Otherwise, you know what's going to happen? You're just going to have this disjointed brand that doesn't resonate with anyone, and you end up repelling your target audience and getting passed by for opportunities. You have to first assess where your brand gaps are. I encourage you to book a call with me and evaluate the strength of your brand. You see, during our session, I'll audit 10 areas of your brand, and you'll learn what is quietly keeping you overlooked. So I'll examine your brand narrative, your visual branding, your website presence, your brand photos, social media profiles, and 5 other additional areas to help you identify opportunities to strengthen your reputation and get noticed. So, if you want to elevate your brand by uncovering where your brand falls flat and you want to fix it, then go to nicolepride.com/contact. And that's nicolepride.com/contact. So there you have it. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. You need to know your value, who you are called to serve, and how you are using your value to help others. Then you need to know the right tactics to use to strengthen your brand. Again, you can schedule time with me at nicolepride.com/contact and receive a brand strength audit to find out exactly what areas of your brand need help and how to elevate your reputation from a strong foundation. Again, don't skip this foundational part. You got this. I know it. Hey, ambitious leader, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share with another leader who you want to encourage? Also, please leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. I just get so energized to know this podcast is helping you. Okay, I'm going to take one step today to let my leadership shine. What about you? God willing, meet you back next week for another episode.